I'm Tim, and welcome to Watch You Want. Thanks for logging on. Today, we're looking at the Panerai Luminor Marina 1950s 3 days automatic Oro Rosso. This 42mm rose gold watch, built from 2012 to the present, is really one of the contemporary classics of the Panerai lineup. And if I may, this is in many ways Panerai's sports coat, when formality is preferred but attitude is required and you still need to look cool. It's also something of Panerai's 1950 cruiserweight model. Now let's talk a little bit about that sports coat notion and the cruiserweight concept. Now, the sports coat, of course, formal enough to get by, but still cool, still got a little bit of attitude, just exudes that awesomeness of masculinity in a compact, sporty profile. I'm going to say that's exactly what this watch is. Awesomeness and masculinity. The cruiserweight. Not a heavyweight, not a lightweight. 42mm, it combines that 1950 case profile with its gorgeous compound curves with a wearable size that just feels a treat on my 6 1/3 inch wrist. That's 16 centimeters for those using the metric system. But the bottom line is the fit is perfect and it's outstanding for formal attire, both because of the way it fits, because of the way it sits flat, and also because of the tumble home. From the top of the crystal to the flank of the case, you can really see how the watch curves. So if you wanted to pull a dress cuff or a long sleeve up and over it, you're good to go. There's also a lot of subtlety going on here. And most obvious is the complementary color palette, but let me talk a little bit about finish, because the finish really makes this watch. Now, first and foremost, you can see that the bezel is a high polish, but the case and the lugs, the flanks, are all brushed. So this doesn't read as rose gold overload. Instead, there's quite a bit of contrast and differentiation, both in terms of the forms of the case and the lugs and the bezel, and in the way they reflect light. That interplay of light between the different shapes and the different finishes really articulates this watch and visually breaks it up and avoids the look of a gold monolith. The fact that it's a 42mm really helps with that too. There's a little bit of discretion here that you don't get in the classic 44mm or the 47mm Panerai Luminor cases, and I really like that. Now, getting back to the color palette, the first thing you notice besides the gold is the tobacco-colored dial. Now, tobacco, chocolate, coca, mocha, whatever you want to call it, the bottom line is that it has a subdued tone that pairs well with the rose gold. And with matching rose gold hands, you've got a great color scheme going on already. Add the subdued ecru colored sort of dirty dial simulated vintage radium patina, and now you're really looking at a winning combination, especially when you consider that the date disc itself has been rendered in the same color and the graphics printed onto the dial are similarly subdued and complementary. Now, the strap continues the theme, not just of elegance and refinement, but of judicious use of complementary colors. This is if you can't see it on the camera, this is a dark brown chocolate mocha tobacco colored strap with a contrasting stitch and also a square cut on the profile. A little bit squarish, a little bit folded. So you get a bit of both of those strap crafting techniques, and it's a very upscale finish for a sports watch. Likewise upscale is the use of alligator. Now, the Decima Flotilla of the 30s and 40s, the combat swimmers who originally employed Panerai watches, they would have used calf skin, which would have been waxed for water resistance. I like the fact that alligator is used, although it isn't traditional Panerai. Most Panerai sports watches are delivered on either rubber or calf skin these days. The alligator is upscale because of the way it looks and the way it holds its good looks. More durable than calf skin. This one is built for the long haul, and I really feel for an upscale presentation, that's appropriate, both to the model and to the attitude, the vibe of the model. Now the buckle, likewise, the pin buckle, very traditional, executed in a complementary brushed rose gold. It's an accent. It's not overt. I really like the delicacy of it. It's a lightweight piece. It's not the oversized pin buckle that you see on some of the sports-oriented models. I think that the discretion, the narrow volumes of it, the light weight of it, the brushed finish, they all coordinate nicely with the governing idea of the watch, which is a sports watch that can also step into the club, a sports watch that can wear black tie. Again, I think it's also quite welcome with short sleeves and shorts, but this watch can go where, perhaps your PAM 305 submersible or your Bomba might not. So there's a lot of extra versatility here, and those upscale touches continue with evolution of traditional Panerai features. The device protecting the crown, crescent-shaped patented in 1956, still iconic of the manufacturer, now features a little runner bearing inside the cam of the lever, just so that there's that much less friction between the cam locking lever and the crown itself. It's smoother, it's more fluid. Again, just a little bit of polish and upscale refinement. Other traditional elements include the sandwich dial itself. There's a tremendous degree of depth to these cutouts. The dial is a stenciled disc on top of a loomed lower disc, so you actually look down into the loom, and at night it radiates upwards. The finishing tolerance is on the latest dials, and again, this is one of the latest references, having debuted in 2012, this example having only been purchased in February of 2015. You can see the Panerai is really coming of age as a luxury manufacturer, and with respect to things like fit, finish, and detailing, they're really up there with the likes of Rolex now, and you can feel it and you can see it when you hold this watch in the hand. Likewise, on the case back, when you're examining the watch in detail, you see that Panerai's in-house movement technology has come a long way. Now, this is the P9000. It's really Panerai's bread and butter workhorse these days. Automatic, you can wear it like people expect to wear their sports watches these days. Self-winding, 3-day power reserve. If you put it down, it's good to go when you pick it up a few days later. A lot of guys who wear Panerai like to rotate through their collection. So you don't want a watch to die if you put it down for a day or two. So that flexibility, the long power reserve, that's an upscale refinement. Likewise, when I talk about using sports watches the way people expect to use them today, just because this watch is finely built and finely finished doesn't mean it's delicate. The movement is free-sprung. Panerai uses a free-sprung balance, meaning that if you do knock it hard, there isn't a free-moving index regulator that can change the timing of the watch inadvertently. So that ruggedness is there, and probably to an extent not found on any classical era Panerai combat watch. The frogmen of the Decima Flotilla did not have anything nearly this tough, and that's sort of the best of both worlds. Historical homage in the shape of the case, the form of the dial, the detailing, and the overall aesthetic, but modern technology inside. So if you'd like to check out perhaps not the best of both worlds, maybe even the best of three, that heritage look, the sports watch aesthetic, the sports watch possibilities and versatility, but also the competence in formal attire, check out this Panerai Luminor Marina 1950s 3 days automatic Oro Rosso on our website. 42 millimeters, wears a little bit more discreet than your traditional Luminor. It could be one for the non-traditional Paneristi or the Paneristi looking for that zinger to wear with a tux. And the bottom line is this one is incredibly complete. Having been purchased in February of 2015, you get everything that you would receive at the Panerai boutique, including factory warranty. There is really nothing separating you from this watch except a quick visit to our website, Watch You Want. If you're looking for a Panerai Luminor that is distinctly upscale, look no further. This PAM 393 is the watch you want.